They just whitewash everything, the Vietnam era. No mention of the Gulf of Tonkin, that in fact it started it, or anything else. And you know, the interesting thing about this is that my son brought this to my attention. He said, Dad, they don't talk about the Gulf of Tonkin, they don't talk about the USS Liberty to try to get America into the war in Egypt. They don't talk about any of that stuff. I said, no, son, they're not going to. They're only going to give you their viewpoint. You have to look at history on your own. You can't, these books are so subjective, I mean, it's not even funny. It's beyond subjective. Then there's this really freaky thing, because of course the globalists endorse and love National Geographic, which is called Life's Structure and Function by Glencoe Science. Another freaky thing with these absolutely bugged out examples of, you know, decoding your genomes, genome sequencing, really exploring life, and getting into all this, applying science to bacterial reproduction and other things, and you know, living things. You know, the whole way that it's going towards, you know, mutating, scientific methods, new methods. You know, it's just, it's not. It's unbelievable the way that they show you the examples. Look at it. I mean, again, you can't really look at them on the radio, but they're talking about basic stuff here, but leading towards this whole spin on the science, on transhumanism and mechanics, and it just freaks me out. Anyway, so Rita Zellweger is definitely a company that should be looked at. It's definitely one that you wouldn't believe. They own LexisNexis, who is a data mining company used by the CIA, the FBI, as well as the judicial system. Lawyers use it. Bill collectors use it to gather information, to find people that they're looking for. It's a data mining tool. Now, they own that. They own Lancet magazine, Cell magazine. These are Cell journals, top 2 journals for physicians in the world. They own Variety magazine and other trade organizations. So the business, they set the protocol. They own almost every travel book you could think of, Travel magazine and Location Finder and Industries, from, I mean, all the industries. They literally are controlling what we see. And the company was again founded in 2004. One day I just happened to stumble upon it, because it was told that LexisNexis came to where I work and said, I can't believe, I couldn't believe what he said. He said, well, we're a very large company that nobody knows about. We're very quiet. We're secretive. We like it that way. And then I was just listening, and then I found out who they were all working, who used them and everything. It was interesting. And then I said, who owns the company? And they told me Rita Zellweger, and that's actually how I found out. So interestingly enough, if it wasn't for that, I never would have seen the connection to all of these critical pieces of magazines. They own 15,000 worldwide. Now, there's only 110 or 120 countries in this world. Think about that, 15,000 magazines and journals, and the top 1,200 medical journals. That is a tremendous amount of information to be propaganda, to be spewing. And then, of course, they own the television networks, and they own all the interests. I mean, these globalists, New World Order, you know, one world government, let's bring it all together and bring it on home people, are all, you know, they own what we see. And they're the ones that say we have to censor what has been being said on the radio. We have to censor the internet. We want to close it down. Well, they're the ones, because we're exposing them. When they shut down our accounts and our Facebooks and our pages and things like that, and they do that, they're really attacking us the only way they can. They try to shut us down. They keep us quiet, but then we just figure a way to come back at them. So they just want to stop it. Then you won't have it. Then you'll just listen to what they say, and you're just going to be a crazy nut. Radical anarchists attacked someplace. I mean, that's what they'll do. They'll put a false flag. It's unbelievable. It'll just be a false flag event. They'll blame it on these people, and then you believe what you believe. I mean, before all this communication was necessary with all these iPhones and all these Apples and all this other stuff going on, and I mean, it's very hard to to control a population, and when they start waking up and they start realizing that there's something wrong and they start actually looking, where is the problem and who is causing the problem, woof, these guys are in a lot of trouble. Now, you have to understand how they can have this vast control. I know it's hard to believe that a couple of families, you know, and the royal family, of course, who we embrace, the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas, the German family, the German Windsor family, you know, Prince William, you know, and his bride, his beautiful bride, you know, they're in America, and everyone's, oh, they come to the West Coast, oh, and the royal couple, you know, now the royal couple, they're making an exception that, oh, they're going to change the law that even if they have a girl child, that they'll be able to be king or queen, I should say, of course, obviously. It's just bizarre, and like, we care about this, and they pump it all on the news, and they just because they own it, they want you to listen. We are still really a colony of England because of the control. Just because we got our independence as a nation, they enslaved us, and even worse, through the banking cartel, which is again the Rothschilds and the English and the Queen of England and her cousin Queen Beatrice of the Netherlands and her husband Prince Bernard. Okay, all these cats, and then of course, you know, we know Prince Philip is a eugenist, Nazi. So is Bernard. They're Nazis. They're all Nazis. They are. In fact, the greatest Nazis, the best scientists, and all of that, they put to death all the butchers and all the people that did the dirty work. But the brains behind it, we recruited these people. We recruited them through Operation Paperclip. We recruited them into our government, into our Central Intelligence Agency, to work on all of these biological weapons and other, you know, medical and military weapons and other devices for you know, basically killing and destroying people and controlling their minds, mind control through MK Ultra with Dr. Cameron in Canada. He did these insane experiments with horrific stuff for the CIA in Montreal at McGill University. It was just horrific what he did there, the Allen Institute. He did shock treatments, but really like incredible stuff, like shocking people like 100 times, and you know, in like a 20-minute intervals, and you know, then giving them tranquilizers to ease anxiety, and did all this stuff to like putting they had to hear looped music and words and things put in their head, and mind controlled stuff for hours and weeks. Really crazy stuff. If you have the opportunity, definitely research Dr. Cameron, Dr. Ewen Cameron. That's EWENCAMERON, Cameron, as in James Cameron, the Mason, the high-level 33rd degree Mason that is so beloved by the elite, his avatar and all of his glory and his complicity to the order. Anyhow, we certainly have a lot of things going on behind the scenes that people are not aware of. And I know a lot of people don't understand or don't really care to think of it, or even if they knew it, you know, you got to break it down into classifications. You have people that, when they realize it, like myself, are just so overwhelmed with anger and you know, bitterness towards the deception. I mean, forget about the fact that you stole all this money from me all my life and took my taxes and did all these things unconstitutionally, and you know, shot me up with God knows I'm probably going to get cancer too, because I got these first shots for polio, and in that duration of time, the first 15 years, or it was given to 100 million people. I'm pretty sure it's there. And then they quote unquote say the gene is in everybody. That's the quote unquote spin they have. The cancer gene is in everybody. Yeah. Well, you know, when it took me waking up was really something that I always realized but never understood. I always knew there was something wrong, but I didn't know what it was. And then I saw the film Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo, a film that everybody should see. Go to YouTube and watch it for free. Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo, who produced Trading Places and The Rose and other movies. He was a real Hollywood guy, and was a personal friend of Nicholas Rockefeller until he discovered what was going on with Rockefeller, and absolutely made the pivotal work on the Federal Reserve, exposing it as a fraud for the fraud that it is, and others in the movement, like Sybil. Not Sybil. That's 9/11. I forget her name. Oh my God. She went to jail. IRS agents were actually persecuted for this because they investigated this themselves and said there's no law, and they didn't end up not paying their taxes, and they made an example of them and put them in jail. But the truth is, there is no law, and it is an unconstitutional thing, and it's another big lie right in front of your face, and they will put you in jail, and they will just take away all your property. But hey, what do you know? I mean, after all, they have bills that are 1,700 pages long. You have to read the night before. Let's vote on it. What do you expect? That's what we have. So that's why we need change. Speaking of we need change, we are change, and this is Howard Nema, and we are change with Howard Nema on NformdRadio.com, giving a plug out to the station. If anybody has any questions or anything, you could Skype us on here. I also have the phone number. I just didn't have the spot right in front. And you can call in at 772-905-3018. I cover a lot of subjects. I don't really necessarily stay on one particular subject, so feel free to call in again, or like us on Skype, NformdRadio.com, 772-905-3018. Alright. So I had a bunch of news here, like I was talking about all these protesters in Tokyo. The ongoing nuclear crisis dominates public concerns, and so some people, about 200 people, protested Saturday, and they marched outside of Tokyo Electric Power Company, which operates the tsunami-hit Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, and they got these people outside. You should see them. They look like they're dressed, like like wearing chemical suits. It's really crazy in Hong Kong. And in Taiwan, over 100 people gathered, to protest at the skyscraper, the stock market. So even around the world, people are starting to make a noise about this. But again, controlled opposition. Those 100 people could have been paid. They're trying to control this thing and put us into this. Yes, we will give you free health care, and we'll work it out, and we will give you this and that, and we'll do this, and you'll give away that, and you'll give this up. And next thing you know, we'll be in a totally socialist, fascist country, where it's already happening. Come on, let's face it. We are in fascism, which is what corporatism is. You have insurance companies writing the Obama law, the Obamacare. Insurance people, okay, the insurance industry writing the laws. Same thing with the food, Monsanto. Same thing with the Food and Drug Act. I mean, these are criminals who have hijacked our government. I'm just absolutely sick of it. We got the CIA bringing in drugs, caught many times. Mena, Arkansas, with Barry Seal in the 80s, and Bill Clinton. Then you have it now with Fast and Furious. They got caught again. Eric Holder is caught lying. He says he never said anything, but he said it on CNN in May. I mean, what is going on with these people? How can you not be outraged? How can you just not be outraged? I just don't understand it. It goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, and I get off track sometimes because there's just so much information, ladies and gentlemen. It's just incredible. Called Life's Structure and Function by Glencoe Science. Another freaky thing with these absolutely bugged out examples you know, decoding your genomes, genome sequencing, really exploring life and new methods. You know, it's just, it's not, it's unbelievable the way that they show you the examples. Look at it. I mean, again, you can't really look at them on the radio, but they're talking about basic stuff here, but getting into all this applying science to bacterial reproduction and other things, and you know, living things. You know, the whole way that it's going towards you know, mutating, scientific methods. They just whitewash everything, the Vietnam era. No mention of the Gulf of Tonkin, that in fact it started it, or anything else. And you know, the interesting thing about this is that my son brought this to my attention. He said, "Dad, they don't talk about the Gulf of Tonkin, they don't talk about the USS Liberty to try to get America into the war in Egypt. They don't talk about any of that stuff." I said, "No, son, they're not going to. They're only going to give you their viewpoint. You have to look at history on your own. You have to. You can't. These books are so subjective. I mean, it's not even funny. It's beyond subjective." Then there's this really freaky thing, because of course the globalists endorse and love National Geographic, which is called